Toxicity isn't always loud. People imagine toxic behavior as explosions, someone yelling, someone insulting you, someone attacking you directly. That does exist, but the more common toxic pattern is quieter. Subtle criticism, subtle guilt, subtle tension, subtle manipulation, small distortions, small emotional punishments. Each moment feels small, explainable, forgivable. You tell yourself, they probably didn't mean it that way. Maybe I'm overthinking. It's not a big deal. And individually, each moment may not look like a big deal, but repetition turns small moments into an environment. And environments shape behavior. Accumulation is the real damage. Toxic people rarely destroy you with one event. They wear you down through accumulation. One comment, one guilt trip, one subtle insult, one confusing conversation, one strange emotional reaction, one moment where you leave thinking harder than you should. None of those moments look dramatic alone, but stacked together, they change something deeper. They change how you show up. You start managing them. Eventually, the relationship stops being natural. You start managing it, managing their reactions, managing their mood, managing tension, managing what you say, managing what you don't say, managing when you speak, managing how honest you can be. You become careful, you measure your words, you anticipate responses, you avoid topics, you soften truths, you delay honesty, you attempt to maintain emotional stability around them. But notice something important. You are the one doing all the adjusting. The relationship becomes navigation. Healthy relationships allow natural expression. Toxic relationships require navigation. You calculate your tone. You calculate your wording. You calculate timing. You calculate emotional reactions. You begin thinking about how the other person might respond before you even finish your sentence. You plan conversations. You rehearse explanations. You anticipate conflict before it even begins. That constant mental navigation is exhausting. But it doesn't feel like danger. It feels like responsibility, which is why people stay in these patterns for years. Confusion is the most powerful tool. Most people think aggression is the strongest manipulation tool. It isn't. Confusion is stronger. If someone attacks you directly, it's clear. You recognize the conflict. You respond. You defend yourself. You walk away. But confusion makes you stay. Because confusion makes you think harder. You analyze. You explain. You question your interpretation. You attempt to resolve something you can't clearly define. That's how toxic dynamics maintain control. Not through strength, through distortion. You start doubting yourself. Eventually, the pattern produces something deeper than frustration. Self-doubt. You begin questioning your perception. You tell yourself, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's my fault. That hesitation is exactly what toxic patterns depend on. Because the moment you doubt your own perception, you begin negotiating with someone else's version of reality. And that gives the dynamic leverage. Your nervous system knows. Your body recognizes patterns long before your mind accepts them. You feel tension when their name appears on your phone. You hesitate before responding. You feel relief when the conversation ends. You feel drained after simple interactions. You feel pressure before seeing them. Those signals are not imagination. They are pattern recognition. Your nervous system tracking a repeated emotional environment. Your body noticing something your mind keeps explaining away. You're not crazy. The most common experience inside toxic dynamics is this. You feel something is wrong, but you can't prove it. Nothing dramatic happened. Nothing obvious happened. But something keeps happening. And because each moment looks small, you dismiss it. You minimize it. You rationalize it until the pattern becomes normal. Toxic people create gravity. Toxic people often function like emotional gravity. Every interaction slowly pulls the focus toward them. Their feelings, their perspective, their needs, their interpretation, their mood, their approval. Conversations revolve around them. Problems revolve around them. Emotional energy flows toward them. And slowly you begin adjusting your behavior to reduce friction. Not consciously, automatically. You shrink without noticing. You share less. You explain more. You soften honesty. You filter reactions. You anticipate tension before it appears. You stop bringing certain topics up entirely. You stop expressing certain parts of yourself, not because someone ordered you to, because the environment trained you to. That's how toxic environments operate. They reshape behavior gradually. This is how self-trust erodes. Toxic dynamics don't just hurt your feelings. They weaken your trust in your own perception. Every time you override your instincts, every time you explain away discomfort, every time you dismiss your internal warning signals, you disconnect from the system designed to protect you. That's the deeper damage, not just pain. Confusion. Most people look for drama. People expect toxic behavior to look dramatic. Arguments, insults, explosions. But the most psychologically exhausting dynamics are subtle. Small distortions, small guilt shifts, small emotional punishments, small manipulations. Each moment looks harmless, but the pattern is not harmless. Patterns shape environments, and environments shape identity. The pattern matters more than the moment. Anyone can have a bad day. Anyone can say something careless. Anyone can react emotionally. Toxicity is not one moment. Toxicity is repetition. The same confusion appearing again, the same tension appearing again, the same emotional imbalance appearing again. Patterns reveal truth, not isolated events. Stop asking the wrong question. Most people trapped in toxic dynamics ask the wrong question. Why is this happening? Or worse, what did I do wrong? Those questions assume misunderstanding. They assume the dynamic can be fixed through better communication. But toxic patterns rarely exist because of misunderstanding. They exist because the structure benefits someone. Instead, ask something different. What pattern keeps repeating here? That question changes everything. Thank you for watching. This is MindStickz.